Wow. All I got to say is wow. The Sixers just forced a game 7. My initial reaction is, who would have thought that this series was even going on still? The way fans went complete doom and gloom on social media. I know Nish saw it. Here with my buddy Big Nish. This is Hits and Hoops episode 11. We are going straight off the cuff after a huge Sixers win. Nish, you saw all the negativity. Sixers, they do it. They force game 7, but can they win game 7, or will that negativity just come back and people will go right back to it?
You know, it's one of the best words in sports, game 7. Anything can happen. We saw that in the 2016 finals. You know, it's basically going to come down to who wants it more. That it you can't records are going to be thrown out. It's who wants to go to the conference final the most. Is it going to be the Raptors, or is it going to be the Sixers? And you know, the Sixers, they got blown out on Tuesday against the Raptors in Toronto. You know, everybody on social media was like, "Oh my God, we're done. We're not going to do anything. We're going to lose the series." And it's like, it's one game. Blowouts happen in the playoffs. It's You're not going to get a close game every single game, every single day. And some playoff series, you're going to get blowout after blowout after blowout. But there will be a game where it's very close to the end. So with like fans of the Sixers, they need to chill. Like
Yeah.
we're one game away from the conference finals.
Yeah.
We got 2 more days. It's a 2-day break. They play on Sunday, so it's just like soak it in, enjoy game 6, and now let's move on to game 7 and get this win and play the Bucks in the conference finals.
Yeah, it's funny because the Sixers have some young guys, and I mean it's wild. The fans are, it just makes me just kind of smile and just laugh it off, because it honestly is outrageous that the fans talked about trading Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons or both, and who's more to blame. They had a crappy game. They had a couple crappy games. I mean, I'll tell you what, if you open this season and you said the Sixers are going to have a game 7 in Toronto, the 2 seed, to go to the conference finals, anyone would have taken that. I think expectations always just go through the roof. And, it's just, yeah, you're right. It's about enjoying the moment, taking in game at a time. Like you said, blowouts happen. Just happened tonight. I don't think the Raptors fans are saying, get out of here, Kawhi Leonard, or anything like that. I mean, I know he had a great game, but, either way, they're crazy in Toronto for that team. And, I'm sure people overreact to games, and it happens everywhere, but, kind of got to relax about it. You got to accept that these guys are young, and they're learning, and they're in this situation for the first time. No matter how you slice it, this team improved from last year. And I know there's no moral victories, but they lost 5-1 to a Boston team that just kind of out-gritted them. And the Sixers are playing a much more talented Toronto Raptors team. The Sixers are a more talented team with the additions that they made. And this is the result. You're one game away where anything can happen in a game 7. And that's my thoughts on it. I think that a lot of people just, look to overreact and say, blow it all up. It's time to rebuild, trade the best players. They had a couple bad games. They're having a tough series, but look at all the adversity they're overcoming. They're in a game 7, and Embiid's been throwing up and having these illnesses. And, Simmons has played poorly in a few games, and guys are inconsistent. They're going through the ups and downs. This is what makes a team. This is what makes a championship team. The Warriors went through this. The Spurs at some point went through this. The Lakers, when they had their great teams, they had some adversity that they had to fight through. I remember the Lakers got their butts kicked against the Boston Celtics in the finals that 07-08 season. So it's time to just let these guys take their lumps and don't pile on them. Kind of going through the same thing with another young team in Philadelphia that obviously won a Super Bowl, but there's still young players on that team that had some injuries, that had things going on with them. But you just got to let them get right, keep grinding, and they're in a game 7 now. So that's all you can ask for is with any team. And we're from Philly, so obviously we reference the Eagles and the Sixers. But those are the two teams, and same with Flyers and the Phillies. Any city, we can relate to the Philly teams, but any city, you have to be patient with your young core, no matter what the sport, no matter what anything. Like, you can't take their accomplishments as, well, they need to do more. They've accomplished more than what most 22, 24-year-olds accomplish in the NBA. Any team in our city, you look around at these young players and you just got to have hope when you see them. So Sixers are in a game 7 right now. So everyone talked about trading Ben Simmons and trading Joel Embiid, and it's fine to criticize them. It's totally okay. I've said that a million times on Twitter. I'm actually an advocate of criticizing it and looking at things like, well, he's got to get better here and things like that. As long as it's like an accurate thing to say, totally fine. And it's true. It sucks that Embiid is, always having injuries or, being sick. His whole career has just been, this weird, mysterious ride. And you've seen the elite talent on numerous occasions. He's played so many games this regular season, and right now he's just going through it. But the team, it's showing the team's maturity too, that they're in a game 7 and Embiid's not been fully healthy and able to go this whole playoffs. Really, this playoffs he's been banged up, having a terrible series, and other guys are stepping up. That's a big tribute to what the GM did. That's a huge tribute to Brett Brown, who a lot of people also criticize. The Sixers are ahead of schedule, and if you just be patient, you try to retain some of these guys, you build around them, this is going to be a good team for several years here in the near future, and potentially even long term, depending on how well Embiid holds up and how well everybody improves. But they can be as good as they want. They can put the work in, and they can be a championship team. And this is how you see it when they're in a game 7 with a team that was way better than maybe anyone other than the Bucks in the East. So the Sixers have that 3 seed, and rightfully so. And that's all I got to say. Big rant. Didn't even want to talk that long, but the Sixers, you have my respect, and I'm impressed. And I'll be the first one to say it. I'm impressed with this Philadelphia 76ers. I'm not impressed with the Eagles' defensive end depth. And with Ziggy Ansah signing with the Seahawks, he's hurt, but he'll be back this season. The Seahawks fill a hole that they really needed after Frank Clark left. Someone to just fill that spot and show them something. They get him. They also lose, probably the biggest story in the NFL. They also lose Doug Baldwin and Cam Chancellor. Now I'm going to let Nish chat a little bit here. Nish, are the Seahawks moving into Russell Wilson's era? Is this the Russell Wilson era, whereas the last era was kind of the Legion of Boom era? Is Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, is this their era now?
Yeah, I think it is because, they paid Russell Wilson that boatload of money, and they kind of have to start moving in, into a different direction. Doug Baldwin, he had he was injury prone these past few years, so was Cam Chancellor. So I think they're starting to move on. They want to make this team centered around Russell Wilson more. They want to make it an offensive team, having one of the best offenses in the NFL. And I kind of don't blame them because you got teams like the Saints and the Rams dropping 35 points a game, and their defense getting pivotal stops. You need offenses to match that type of production level, and you kind of have to start going younger and getting younger pieces in the draft and maybe in free agency. It's just how the NFL is going right now. It's becoming a more offensive league than defensive league, and I think the Seahawks are starting to get that because these past few years they've been more, on the defensive side of the ball, paying guys like Richard Sherman, who's gone, Earl Thomas, who's also gone, Michael Bennett. All these guys, they're no longer there. They're the centerpiece of the defense, and now they've kind of let them go and just want to try to hang with the best teams in the NFL, and you can't blame them. So it's one of those things.
Yeah, it's no, it's absolutely right. You see Patrick Mahomes, you see, the Saints, the Rams, like you said, you know what the Eagles are capable of. Let's not, get that twisted. The Eagles have one of those explosive offenses, and they're Seattle Seahawks. They go in the draft, they get DK Metcalf. They're trying to build that offense back up. They're one of the better rushing teams in the league, and that's just how it is. So, speaking, of offenses, though. And oh yeah, by the way, Cam Chancellor, Doug Baldwin, injuries ended their careers short. Would have loved to see them play longer, but glad they're taking their health seriously. It's a violent game. I just wish them the best in their future. Two players I respect very highly. And you know, two guys that were drafted. Well, Doug Baldwin undrafted and Cam Chancellor in the 6th round, I believe. So two guys I definitely know earned everything they got and well deserved, getting out, taking care of yourself, and it's 100% the right decision. But back to offenses and really what Russell Wilson just did to set kind of the standard was sign a big contract extension with the Seattle Seahawks. Nish, Carson Wentz, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes. These quarterbacks deserve to be paid the big bucks, or are there some guys in there that maybe you feel are going to hold their teams back when they have to pay those guys over some other guys that maybe help them be the quarterbacks that they are?
I just think it might be people might think this is biased because I'm an Eagles fan, but I gotta say the Dallas Cowboys because they have so many stars they have to pay. They already paid Tank Lawrence. They have to pay Zeke. They have to pay Amari Cooper. They gotta pay Leighton Vander Esch, Byron Jones. They gotta pay all these guys. And Dak Prescott, he wants a big deal. I don't blame him, but to be honest, I don't think he deserves that kind of money because what has he done? Yeah, he's won the division 2 of the last 3 years, but he's only had one playoff win, and it's kind of like he needs Zeke to be successful. Everybody knows this. Most of Cowboys Nation knows this. Other people in Cowboys Nation don't want to accept it, but that's the truth. He needs pieces in place to be successful. And you can say that about any quarterback, but what has he done? He's only I don't know what his stats are, but he hasn't really done, anything big in the NFL. Like when you go to like Carson Wentz, my guy, like he's been ever since his rookie year where he had like pretty crappy weapons like Dorial Green Beckham and Paul Turner and uh, Jordan Matthews, like and the Eagles got better. They got Alshon, they got Torrey Smith, they got LeGarrette Blount. They know what it takes to make Carson Wentz great. He did that in the 2017 season before he got hurt. People will say, "Oh, he's injury prone and stuff." Like this dude still balled out last year with a bad back. He threw 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He's thrown 54 touchdowns and 14 interceptions over the past 2 years. So I think Carson Wentz deserves more money than Dak Prescott because he's earned it. And I just think people, it's mostly NFC East fans who are on TV, Cowboys fans. They don't like Wentz. I think they don't like Wentz because they know he's better than their quarterback, and they just don't want to admit it. So I'll leave it up to you. I know I went on another big rant and stuff, so now your turn.
No, it's good. I like it. I agree. I think that Carson definitely deserves it. But back to Dak Prescott. I talk a lot about Dak, and I troll Cowboys fans. But whether or not he deserves it or whatever the case is, he's going to get his money. And you sign him and you sign Zeke, and you know what they do. You know what they bring. They are pretty darn good, as a team over the last 3 years. The Cowboys have been a good team. They have. And I think that their roster is very good. I think Dak Prescott deserves the money because he's got an identity in the NFL. He's been in playoff games. He stays healthy. He's a guy that can make the plays. He's pretty consistently solid. And you don't know what else is out there. The Cowboys can get a quarterback that can't play at all. You know what I mean? So Dak has some running ability. He can throw the ball, downfield. he's not a bad quarterback by any means. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's a guy that you know what you're getting from. Does that quarterback take you to the Super Bowl? Well, here's the problem. When you pay Dak Prescott what he probably deserves, $30 million a year, just because of the rate of players nowadays, you're going to have to suffer losing a couple guys. They have Byron Jones, Jalen Smith, Amari Cooper. They have an offensive line that just is young and will continue to get salary raises and extensions themselves. They have Ezekiel Elliott, obviously, who you have to pay another big contract to. After Le'Veon Bell's deal, Ezekiel Elliott's is going to be even more. And he's probably the best pure just running back in football. I mean, he's led the league in yards twice out of his 3 years. He's going to have a lot of leverage to negotiate why he's going to need to be paid like the highest paid running back in NFL history. And it's going to happen. When he gets his deal, that's what it's going to be. So no matter what, as a Cowboys fan, whether you like Dak, hate Dak, think that, he needs guys around him to succeed, which everyone does, the issue is that, your owner has never displayed in the last 2 decades how to manage a salary cap and how to work money to keep guys, have certain players stay around. It just feels like the Cowboys are going to pay all their big players. They already paid DeMarcus Lawrence. It's going to be Dak, Zeke, Byron Jones, Jalen Smith. There's just too many guys, and the other guys I named as well. I'm going back over the same stuff, but that's I can't emphasize enough that that's just what's going to happen. They're going to lose some guys. They're going to have to sacrifice losing a couple guys, and that's going to make the team worse. So is Dak good enough, to justify losing some other good players and the team weakening? Can Dak step up, make that offense take that next step in the passing game? I mean, we're talking about an offense that's ranked in the 20s in passing offense the last 3 seasons in a row now, and has had a top 10 defense the last 2 years and has had a top 3 running back the last 3 years as well. So Dak Prescott, this team around him is great. And, you can credit a quarterback all you want for wins, but when that team starts to go down around you, when that talent level starts to go down, you see what happens to any quarterbacks, to great quarterbacks. I mean, there was a string of games or seasons where Drew Brees went 8-8, as the Saints quarterback, and no one ever talked about him not being an elite player and things like that. It's not a reflection of the quarterback's talent at all. That these guys are still really talented. Dak is a talented quarterback. Carson Wentz is a talented quarterback. But when you give one guy that much money that he deserves, it's a given that your team is going to have to go cheaper, going to have to hit on draft picks. They're going to have to develop a lot faster. If you want to keep that level around you, and if you don't have a quarterback that can elevate and just make your team dominant just with his arm and just passing and throw those, 30 plus touchdowns every year and just be a force multiplier, then your team's going to get beat up elsewhere, and your big money guy isn't going to be able to dig them out. So that's the reality of the situation, and that goes for any team with a young quarterback. That's Carson Wentz, that's Dak Prescott, that's Jared Goff, that's Patrick Mahomes. When they get their money, it's going to make the team suffer. So if they want that money, they're going to have to back it up with even better play than what got them that contract in the first place. So it's taking that next step. We'll see if Dak can do it. We'll see if Carson can do it. We'll see if Jared Goff's going to do it. And we'll see if Patrick Mahomes can do it. And those are the guys up next for contracts in the nearby future, and then you'll see younger guys like Darnold and Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. Those guys will get their deals. So it is a very difficult thing to be a GM, and I'm so happy that Howie Roseman is the Eagles GM. Nish, when all those quarterbacks get their deals, wouldn't you bank on the Eagles remaining one of the better rosters in the league just because of how their GM can operate the cap?
Yeah, I just think Howie knows what he's doing. He's gonna try to make the team the best as he can. Basically, he came out this week and said Carson Wentz deserves an extension, and he's looking out for the best interest of the team of winning Super Bowls. That's the team goals. That is a team's goal for the next few seasons. We won a Super Bowl in 2017. Now we had a little bit of an off year. We we didn't play well in stretches during the season. Now we just gotta get everything going, and some guys might leave, but how we still gonna, get guys to come play with this team? Like Deshaun Jackson, we lost Golden Tate. He really didn't do too much for the offense, but we didn't have somebody who stretched the field. Now we got Djax back, and now he's gonna go straight and stretch the field, and it's gonna open up a lot of things. So how he's looking, he's looking at the long term for the team and the short term. So he wants another Super Bowl. The whole team wants a Super Bowl. Coaches want another Super Bowl. We as fans want another Super Bowl. And Howie Roseman is going to do whatever he can to make that happen.
Yeah.
We'll have another parade down Broad Street again.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what, every team wants, and that's what Howie Roseman's out to get. And it just seems like every offseason in how he maneuvers and, his vision of how the team should be. And, he understands that revolving door of players on every team, in and out, in and out. He always replenishes what he loses. It just seems artistic almost how he manipulates the cap. He, gives turns base into bonus, and it's remarkable what he's been able to do in keeping that team. But this is going to be his toughest task, is giving Carson Wentz the contract that he deserves and keeping the team intact. I hope that Carson Wentz does take a little less. I mean, but it's very rare for a guy to do that this early in his career. So, we'll see if Carson can, what they can do. But I think that, you're going to see, every year how he knows how to create that cap room. And, I think he'll keep the team competitive and make the right decisions for the team as well. So, but, I think those other GMs, we have yet to see that. We have yet to see Jerry Jones, build a successful team that isn't top heavy. That's not 1-2 injuries away from being an 8-8 team. You give Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott near, 50 million guarantee to your cap. And it's like, well, geez, they gotta step up. That's a lot of money. That's significant for two players to be making $50 million combined. And, it's your quarterback and your running back. So those guys better deliver, every single week. And, they're going to keep guys around, but if the team suffers from it and they can't find, capable players to step up in other positions, that's when it's going to get tricky. So I'm really thankful for Howie Roseman, because I just think that, he's like a weapon. Like, he's like part of our team. Like, he's out there, he's making moves. Like, this roster, I'll bring this into obviously what to watch this weekend will be NBA playoff basketball, Sixers game 7, must see TV on Sunday to end your weekend. And then my closing point, I would just want to roll right into that, and then I'll let Nish finish it out. But my closing point is that Howie Roseman has built. I was just talking to my buddy about this earlier. I've never been this excited for an Eagles team going in strictly based on the talent on the team. I'm so excited to see this team together. It's literally like the best team coming into a season that I can remember in a while. I mean, I just feel like, other than a couple positions that are kind of more unknowns that have some competition and aren't really buttoned up, cornerback being one, that's kind of it. Honestly, cornerback is like that one position that you're like, well, we don't have like a star at. And there's a lot of positions we don't have stars at, but the guys aren't like, there's not like at least a good guy. It's a bunch of unknowns, a bunch of guys that have played well and also struggled. Other than that, I don't even think cornerback's important, because I feel like every cornerback gets cooked. It's just such an offensive favored league that, like, corners are it's so rare. There's only like 2 or 3 in the league that are like really good per season, and then the rest of them are pretty much the same. So whatever, just throw a bunch of guys together that are going to compete and be like pesky and scrappy, and then figure it out. Get pressure on the quarterback. This D line is crazy deep. The D tackle position specifically. The offensive roster, the O line it's got the depth now that it needs. Might need a little bit of offensive guard depth. It's another position, but that's only because Brandon Brooks is hurt. He'll probably come back in the middle of the season, something, so at maybe toward the end of October, potentially. We'll see. We'll see how quick he recovers. But they're going to need some interior line help. Every other position, all the skills positions, it's so stacked. I'm so excited to watch this team. And it's because Howie Roseman goes in the offseason. He's a weapon himself. He attacks. They draft a bunch of guys. They're so deep at receiver. They're deep at running back now. This is a team that's going to be able to overcome that adversity when it strikes. And you're going to see some emerging guys come out and, get these favorable matchups like a J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Nelson Aguilar, back in the slot. Those guys are going to be bottom of the depth chart guys, and they'll be facing bottom of the depth chart coverages, and they're talented players. So also same goes for Dallas Goedert, another weapon. You got to look forward to that guy being, having a breakout year and emerging. Rookie tight ends are they have a tough time, and that guy showed a lot of talent. Can't wait to see that dude with 1 year under his belt as an Eagle. And this offense is going to be crazy, and just hope to stay healthy. And then obviously Carson Wentz, coming into the season with a full offseason under his belt. He's been, in Philly. He's been at the Sixers games. He's been with Bryce Harper. He's walking the walk, and I honestly am so excited to see him walk the walk when it matters on the field Sundays. And I really do think he's going to be back to form. I think he'll stay healthy. He's got, a fully removed, it seems, from the ACL surgery. Obviously every day you get stronger. Every time you touch the field, you get stronger. And then with the back injury, it's just going to take some time to rest up and heal, get those mechanics fresh, get back in the weight room and start, really strengthening and getting ready to go, getting ready for this season. And I'm just so excited. I can't wait. Really do think this is a team that can contend to go deep into the playoffs, even to the Super Bowl. So see what happens. It's kind of all about injury luck, and some guys just, can't stay out of their own way with that. But other than that, fly, Eagles, fly. What do you got to say, Nish?
Yeah, so for what to watch for this weekend, you got a title decider in England for soccer, where Manchester City, they're at 95 points and Liverpool are at 94 points. So if Manchester City wins, they win the title for the second year in a row. And if they slip up, Liverpool's got a chance to win their first league title since 1990. So that's going to be a good. Those are going to be some good games. I'm going to be up for that. Games will start around 7 a.m. So yeah, just if you guys are down for that, watch that. It's on NBC and NBCSN. Closing points for me would be, I'm going to stick to the Sixers, and I just think they need to play good, solid defense in Game 7, just like they played tonight. If they played that defense like they did tonight on Sunday, they're going to win the series, because their starting five is better than Toronto. It's just that Toronto, they have Kawhi. And if you nullify Kawhi, then you should be able to, put pressure on their defense and make the bench guys beat the Sixers. And the Raptors bench guys, they haven't been stepping up this past few games. They've been only scoring, 13 points. And that's not good enough in the playoffs. So I think the Sixers, they have a good chance of going into Toronto and beating the Raptors. They just need to get good, solid play from Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, and Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris. Those are the four main guys. They just need to ball out. Their season depends on it. So hopefully they ball out and get that win and move one step closer, making it to the NBA Finals and winning the NBA championship. So that's all from me.
I love it. I do. I absolutely love it. And you're going to see this first time live right here. Boom. All you can see is the meme. Darn it. Oh man.
Pull it back a little bit.
I'm
pull it no, I can't see. Yeah. Are you gonna tweet it out?
It's just not working, but I'm tweeting.
Yeah.
76ers in 7. I said it. Yup, that was it. 76ers in 7. That's my prediction. So my final prediction. I went for the Raptors to go to the finals all year long, and I'm predicting the 76ers to upset the Raptors in Toronto and win the series.
I love it. Got to stick with the Philly pride. That's
got to ride with it. Got to ride with it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It was
one more thing before we move on. I've talked to my friends about this. I've been contemplating it, but if the Sixers make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I will be wearing my Joel Embiid red jersey to school on one of those days. I don't know which day it's going to be if they make it, because I haven't worn that jersey outside. I've only been wearing it inside the house.
Yep.
If they make it, I'm wearing it. I don't care what nobody says. I'm wearing it.
It's time. And I have a Ben Simmons jersey, and if the Sixers, if they can pull through and get this game, it would be crazy. It's the biggest game in Philly sports right now. Coming live on Sunday. So that's really all we had. Again, thanks for stopping by, guys. Tuning in, bearing with us, bearing with our crazy takes, our ridiculous rants. You already know who it is. Tom Stakes at Big Nish 20. Follow him on Twitter at Tom Stakes. Follow me at branded underscore sports. It's been a long day. Still hyped up from that big Game 6 win. Sixers force a Game 7, and we're getting ready to bring our Sixers jerseys out if they can W. It's exciting times. You got a lot of good young talent in Philadelphia and a lot of excitement to look forward to. So have a good weekend, guys, and we will see you on our next episode next week. Break down the NBA playoffs even more. Peace.
Peace.